You know this guy. But his grandfather, of course, was star Jackie Coogan. But this guy's IMDb list goes on for 2 or 3 city blocks. I'm so excited to talk to him. Keith Coogan in the house next.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh, it's so hot.
Okay, this scene is so iconic. Oh my God, we had to start the show with this song for one of his signature films. But we don't have the blues. We're actually in a good mood. We're having a good time. I'm your host here, James Lott Jr. This is Spotlight On here at AFTERBUZZ TV, and I'm glad to be here today. And my guest, I'm so excited to be here. He's making faces. They can't see you yet until I introduce you. I don't know what you're doing over there. But actually, we're going to have a good time. I'm so happy to see him. I'm glad he's in here with me today. When I mentioned I was going to interview this guy, everyone started quoting me lines from his various films and TV, especially ones from Adventures in Babysitting, Don't Tell Mom Babysitter's Dead. But he's a definition of a working actor. TV, film, theater, stand-up, commercials, director, producer, writer. This man has done it all. Ladies and gentlemen, I said just off camera, I'm having a full circle moment. He's from my generation. Keith Coogan.
Wow.
How are you?
That's a heck of an introduction. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Cleveland. Rock and roll.
Next stop, Milwaukee. Yes.
Wow, I cannot follow that introduction. You have the wrong guy.
I mean it. No, I'm the
amazing.
right guy, and I mean every word I said. Now I'm going to read a couple of things to you. When I actually posted online on my page, I was going to talk to you. I showed you a picture, and I was going to talk to you. They said, people started saying the following. Oh, I just want to preface that a couple of times there will be some language that might be for adults, but just it's like a quick word here. So I'm just going to, because they're very famous, iconic lines. 1, don't fuck with the babysitter.
Yes.
Dishes are done, man. My other friend's like, Adventures in Babysitting. And then my friend John says, CBS Children's Mystery Theater, The Treasure of Alpheus T. Winterbourne with Dottie Goodman. I wanted his career when I was a kid. Can't wait to watch the show.
Wow.
Brought it back.
That brought it back.
It did. And my friend Rosa wrote, Toy Soldiers, I love that movie. So people started naming stuff that you, yes. They're going. Someone else also mentioned they saw you on Love Boat.
I forgot I did that.
So, yes.
Love Boat.
We're gonna do a speed round because there's certain things we're gonna talk about with you, but you have so much going on. I'm gonna read a list of stuff that you've done, and you'll just give me kind of what you think. What comes to mind for you? Could be anything juicy if you want to tell me something juicy.
Okay.
Or if this is a one word or something that you have, and if you don't remember anything, I totally understand. Some of the stuff was a long time ago. Oh, actually, before I do that, how does that? Because we make jokes. We're really relatively young still in the scheme of things.
It depends. If you look at humans from several hundred years ago, yes, we're really old.
Yes,
but and probably for outliving my grandparents, I do get. I think I'll do better. Okay. I don't know. There's better pills and things and health and awareness now.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm thinking. Maybe. So I'm taking like the oldest relative and like trying to average it out, and maybe if I take care of myself, I don't know. We'll see.
I will say a lot of my relatives have gotten to at least 75, 80, I guess.
Okay.
So I'm a little more than halfway there, but I'm kind of like, if I do well now, take care of myself.
I think I had like an 89 or 91-year-old grandma,
See?
and I'm 46, so we'll call this midlife.
I'm 47.
Give me my sports car.
We have a lovely wife. We have a lovely wife,
young, blonde, lovely wife.
You have a lovely wife,
pink,
though.
Well, pink and blonde.
Yep. We like that. We do like that. And I also just want to say I interviewed Corey Feldman on here, of course, and a couple weeks ago. And again, he looks great too. We're all from the same time period. I mean, we never heard anything about you in the papers or anything. I mean, you've stayed under the radar. That's great.
Oh, God, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes. Well, you want to work for Disney over and over and over again. So you keep your nose. Because I saw that didn't even exist, being famous just for being famous. There were so few, and they were kind of outsider art, like Andy Warhol or something.
Yes.
Who's still a great filmmaker, or, a filmmaker. Yep. And has a great aesthetic. Right. And if you like that aesthetic, or John Waters, then you can start to, and then you see what happens when John Waters gets a studio guidance and producers, and he learns from them on a few studio pictures, and then he goes off and makes his. I think Cecil B. Demented is his Citizen Kane.
Well, John, that's a whole nother story. I'm a huge John Waters fan. Anyway,
it's the sex one where she gets banged on the head and she falls in love with Ray Ray. I just think that one's great. Low down, dirty shit.
Yes, but you're so correct back though, just go back to John Waters for a second, because the early stuff was completely kind of avant-garde, messy, sloppy. But right when he got to Serial Mom and things like that, it actually got a little better. Like he really it seemed like they were full, complete films.
It's like watching the beginning of YouTube and sketches on the web.
Yes.
Because when they had a series of something, maybe there'd be one gag or one joke, but as soon as they put story in it, you go, oh, now what happens next?
Yeah.
Because that's something we're familiar watching on TV. And here they're like short form. We don't need to. There's no beginning and after. We're just doing it just for the joke.
Yeah.
People learn that there's still story has to be developed. So it's getting there.
It's getting there. But he was a great guy. So, and you were at his party, and I was supposed to be the first release party.
It was a great release party.
Yeah.
The album sounds amazing.
Yeah.
He was there, resplendent in all of his angels.
Yes.
And we're trying to figure out where he will play live here in LA, because he's going to do his tour.
Yeah.
And the Will Turn looks like a good spot.
That's a good spot.
I forgot about the Palladium, but I don't know if he wants to go there.
Will Turn's good. Will Turn's a good, nice theater. Has good acoustics, nice little stage. I think he'd be good there. This is my opinion. I don't know. You just follow me, Corey. Just do it. It's a good place.
He's at the E-Bell Theater.
E-Bell.
Great.
Okay, so
Corey Feldman at the E-Bell.
That's right. Okay, now we
Rock that place down.
We're going to do our speed round now. So
speed round.
Just if you can remember anything, I'll mention something, and you just tell me what comes to your mind.
Okay.
We're going to start off with the Comeback Kids, a series you did a few years ago.
Absolutely great. We're actually trying to sell it right now. We've been entering lots of festivals and winning these little laurel wreath things, which is pretty good. I am the arch nemesis to the two leads. I just take all the work that they try to get, and they're having a comeback as well. Everybody's having a comeback.
Yeah,
especially the Kid Network. They're two white kids. They were on a show. They were adopted by a black family. It's called Different Folks. And he had a catchphrase. What do you mean, Phyllis? And they grow up and they're going to get a reality show going. Okay. His is a little, home grown. Keith Coogan, of course, comes in with like Bravo.
Oh yeah.
So I play Keith Coogan. I actually play myself. and I've been doing that. I've been playing.
You've done other things too. You've done
really nice or really, really evil versions of myself.
So how is that? Because how do you just play a hyper version of yourself? Like you said, if it's an evil version of yourself, you just kind of. How do you do that?
You create a character. You go, what does this character need to be in this story? Does he need to be funny? Does he need to be the fool? Does he need to be cool? Does he need to be, angry? What is it that he needs to do? And then acting anyway is taking things of yourself as much as you can and throwing it in. Yeah. Here you can go, I can get really close to the truth. I don't have to hide behind a character, or you can. You're completely hiding behind this fake character. They call it hyper reality. Okay. And I like it when you can just be spot on. I see a lot of comics, you know. Most comics, when they're on a talk show or they're on the roasts, and you just see their minds going. They're on a like a Bill Maher show, Politically Incorrect, where's that forum of 3 or 4 people. Yeah. That celestine prophecy stuff.
Yes.
And where that powerful idea keeps coming up, and watching Greg Brando, that was a treat. We lose people, burn out so bright, so quick in this industry, and it can come from too much fame or not enough fame.
Oh yeah, right, or not enough, right.
Or whatever fame you had wasn't enough, and when it goes away, you can't. There's nothing that fills that hole. So that, I don't know, I guess that's an artist's struggle story about cutting ears off, and they've been doing it for years.
Yeah. You know who's I saw a thing on how he's a great guest on every talk show, whether he has a product to perform or not, is Martin Short. He's brilliant. He said, it's my job when I go onto a show to basically be myself and perform whatever it is with that, be present, but always have things in your back pocket to pull out. And every show he's ever on, talk show, he's so good.
It's a balance of what you'd say at a small dinner party of a few friends and people maybe you don't know. How to hold a room of 6. Can you hold a room of 10? I'll give me 10 people, I'll hold that room.
Oh, well, me too, I can do it.
Then you scale up. Now, the thing about it is when you're in a small house, you don't have to worry about repeating or stealing material. You can do every bit that you know. High ball, low ball, you can do everything. When you're in a theater context, what have you done before? What has other comics covered?
Yes, right.
Robin Williams is great because he lifted from everybody, but so fast. He'd do 5 or 6 spins on something, and while you're saying that's so-and-so's bit, but bent a little bit, he's already off on another character.
Yeah.
You can't catch up with Robin Williams.
He was, speaking of, that's why we lost. I mean, he was a genius. So that's good. Hopefully he'll come back. He may come back.
He may come back.
Yes. Crafty.
Crafty. That is behind the scenes of The Mentalist, which is an ABC show about a guy who just has feelings. He's like, I feel something's going to happen.
Yes.
I was The Mentalist. We had Kevin Connolly was the original Mentalist, but the network fired him, replaced him with Keith Coogan, and since the initials were the same, figured people just wouldn't notice because Connolly was asking for too much money. So it focuses on the craft service and how vile, repulsive, and bottom of the rung this craft service guy is, and what he does to the show.
Oh my God!
Think, the spilled milk in Living in Oblivion, or the spoiled milk at the beginning of that circling around. This is overt and aggressive and really funny. That whole series is online.
I'll check that out. I love that. Okay, so to take you back a little bit, Diagnosis Murder. Do you remember doing an episode of that?
I did. It was the third time I'd worked with Dick Van Dyke.
Okay, so what is that like? I mean, he's a legend,
amazing.
Obviously.
It's amazing. Having been raised by my grandparents who, knew vaudeville shtick, and their friends knew that shtick, and I grew up knowing that kind of stuff. And to see, Dick apply it on TV brilliantly. And I worked with him on a Super Train episode. That was a terrible ABC series.
I think I remember
one of the worst and most expensive ABC. That had executives canned. And they shot a pilot and retooled, and I came back on in the first one of the pilots, like a relative of the conductor or something. And it was weird because it was a light comedy mystery thriller. So it was the train every week from Chicago to LA in like 48 hours. But they had a different killer, and Dick Van Dyke was the killer. How weird. Then we did a animated thing, Wrong Way Kid, where he played my dad, and he played a 198-year-old librarian, and he plays an animated worm that I'll try to give this kid who's going the wrong way guidance.
Oh my God.
And we won an Emmy for that. It was very for children's programming. Got that little gold guy right in the pocket. He got Here I Come.
Oh my God.
And then the Diagnosis, now I go up to him on Diagnosis Murder, and he just had no clue or remembrance of anything he's ever done at all. That's great. I did. Okay, maybe. Okay. You just don't see it in the eyes. Because there's a great quote. It's, sometimes it's better to be seen by a celebrity than to see a celebrity.
Oh, I like that. I like that, actually.
You want to be, they saw me. They heard me say my cousin's second person was your stand-in on the, that is amazing. How is Sheila?
Yeah, right.
They want that imaginary Paul Simon SNL episode. Yes. Oh, you were under the tree in the red sweater? How's your grandma? Is she okay? She had a goiter? And then Art Garfunkel walks up and he goes, no, I don't know you. Not
Art.
Familiar.
Oh, Art.
Yeah, Dick is great. And then I've seen Dick at the Hollywood Show recently, and he has a back problem where he has to stand every 10 minutes.
Okay.
So he'll be sitting at the autograph table, and most people will sit there for an hour or two and get up and take a break. He just takes breaks, stands up, a barbershop quartet comes up, and a cappella they bust out Mary, the Mary Poppins song.
Yes.
What's a lovely day with Mary.
Yeah.
And it draws crowds over, and then he sits back down and makes, $100 a pop on these, like $80 at least.
He's a legend. You also did Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, great cast.
I love Tales from the Crypt series. I love that series.
So fun. Fun. To work with the creators of that show, were involved in like 1941 and Back to the Future. And Will Wheaton.
Oh, we love Will Wheaton. Still to this day, we love
Kevin Dillon, David DeLuise, Courtney Gaines.
People are still around today. They're
Jason
also around
London.
Today. Yeah.
It was an amazing cast.
Yeah.
Meredith Salinger.
I saw those episodes. I used to watch Tales of Crypt all the time.
Yeah, that was really fun.
And you did, of course, because you were from the 70s and 80s and early 90s, you did a couple of ABC after-school specials.
Yes.
Everybody did them back then. Everyone did it. And we used to watch them faithfully, like, oh my God. I mean, so what was your experience doing after-school special?
Well, there was a drunk driving one, and that was great because it was one of Sam, Galaxy Quest.
Oh my God. I love Galaxy Quest. His name, I guess Sam. Oh my God.
You know what I'm
picturing his face right now.
Thank you.
He's so good. He's so good as an actor too.
The '90s fried my brain.
Yeah, well, that's what
we had Michael St. Gerard, who played Elvis in the miniseries of Elvis, and it was a drunk driving where they pinned it on the poor kid.
Sam Rockwell.
One of Rockwell's first jobs.
Yes, I got this in there. Yes.
And I had fight scenes with him, like once again I'm in my underwear. Actually, it was swim trunks, like tight Speedo swim trunks. Yes. God knows why am I always in my underwear?
Oh, you know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting Sam Rockwell, and I was like, he's, you know, green, but has it. Green in that, you know, you could tell when someone's been doing it, there's a curve. And when they've been doing it long enough, but not long enough,
Got it.
they, all right, well, that mark and that light should be there in this. And they're kind of showing you that they know everything about a set.
Got it.
And then there's ones that have done it for decades, and they only just go, lighting's wrong. What? That should be 2 feet shorter, and that's it. And they say one thing all day about the technical thing, like crossing a line, because you usually just let everybody do their job.
Yeah.
So, and he was just on the early end of just doing everything he was told on the technical part, but keeping his the way that he's alive on film and in person. He's the same person on screen as he is in person, and that's what's really hard to do.
Wow.
And most people that don't have that shield up, that way to separate them, are gone because they don't have the armor. So Sam Rockwell, take care of yourself, brother.
Yeah.
He hasn't even gotten started because his talent already and what he's already performed has far surpassed what his notoriety is. Yeah. He's still like he's not undiscovered, but I think that he's got another level to go.
He's underrated.
Like a Leo level that he could get to easily, because Sam Rockwell is one of the most Brad Pitt style.
Because he's had some really good roles that got him attention, but he needs that one. And in terms of like almost iconic attention, where it will send him into that stratosphere.
He seems to be getting T.J. Millard, where they're just putting him into the same kind of. They're only expecting the same thing out of him. He can do so much more. Yeah. All actors can. That's really the thing, is to see actors stretch. Yeah. And a few of my little low budget stuff on there, you get a chance to do that and play a meth cook or you know, a rapey talent agent, or
I get it. I totally get it.
Serial killer.
Well, because you're an actor first. Your whole point is you want to play as many roles as you can. Yeah, that's the whole point. And play different roles. Yeah. I mean, so wherever it's on, TV,
I've
radio,
seen
whatever.
Streamers here in L.A., and not one of those bastards is old enough to have ever been Vietnam, but they did a great version of Streamers. So,
oh, I love you. Okay, Fox and the Hound. Speaking of,
and Corey,
I remember seeing that as a kid. I remember seeing it.
Yep, me, Corey Feldman, and Kurt Russell are the only people alive, I think.
From that film, I know.
Everybody else is gone. Jack Albertson, Pearl Bailey. And,
I know. I love that.
That was pretty cool. We had the assistant director who did our lines with us, because we didn't do it with everybody else. We just did it with one person. Was the voice of Goofy. God. A 7-year-old, you know, losing attention or something, he would go, and you're just like, that's Goofy. And you're in awe. And it was just a mock, and do it like this, Okay. Follow, do exactly like they wanted, come back a couple months later, do some more. Yeah. What a great film. Took a while to make, though. They had animators walked out on it. Don Bluth went and formed his own company.
Bluth. There you go. We know who he is, obviously.
And it slowed him down. But it was their most expensive animated film to date. It cost $10 million.
Wow, $10 million. Oh my God, we're old.
It cleaned up. It
was huge. I went and saw it.
It's made like 60 something. It's really ridiculous. Fox and the Hound is one of those, if your kids have done something wrong, I will make you watch Fox and the Hound. You sit down and watch Fox and the Hound.
I love it. You did a show that I loved, that I was sad went off the air, and I loved it. Joan of Arcadia.
I love Joan of Arcadia.
I love that everybody that God was somebody different every week.
It was a great show.
It was such a great way with Amber Tamblyn, who of course is just amazing, and Mary Steenburgen. I mean, Jason Ritter was the first got to see him. So, what thoughts on that?
Shot at the old MGM Sony lot, which was really cool, using one of the last pieces of the back lot.
Oh my God!
It's like a front step that could be a city hall or a church or something, and they've got the restaurant, the little Cubs room, is just around the corner from it. And they've got like what looks like a pharmacy and a couple of things in a little town square. Yeah. And shooting that was cool, and everything else is in a soundstage. Oh my God! It was like their hospital set, their police station set, and it was one of the first digital shows I'd worked on.
Oh, okay.
That had, I think at the time, like a 2K digital camera, and I'd never seen a camera over $10,000, and this was a $100,000 camera. Wow. They had a bunch of little lights up around the set instead of 3 or 4 or 5 bigger lights, kind of molding the light. Yeah. They used 24 lights. Wow. You are like, are they lit? You walk in, and it looks really dark to your eye. Yeah. But on screen, all the colors are popping. I was really. It changed. It was the first time where I noticed that the rhythm of the day changes. They don't need to stop and reset lights and tweak or reload film or reload sound.
Yeah.
They're always ready to work you that whole 6 hours between
Which saves some money.
And lunch.
Yeah.
You get a lot done. And you get a lot of choices. Yeah.
Yeah, and it saves money. You also, okay, this is my childhood here. You also did an episode or so of Silver Spoons, Ricky Schroeder.
My wife's favorite show.
I love that show.
My wife's favorite star.
Alfonso Ribeiro. Everybody, I mean, hello. I mean,
that was great.
That was a great
So great. Because, I knew Alfonso and Billy Jacoby.
Yes.
And you kind of see Ricky around at the really good events.
Yes. Him and his wife, Andrea.
And, Alfonso got there by working his way up the events, doing a Pepsi commercial and then being present at all of Alfie Soda Pop clubs and going to birthday parties and movie openings. And whether he was with Ricky or not, it didn't matter. At one point, he branded himself.
I remember that.
And Alfonso he knew exactly what he was doing in terms of always continuing to work in this industry.
And he's still doing it, too.
Oh, my God bless him.
Yeah, and you also did Chips. You were on there for a while.
Love Chips.
I love Chips. Like, my mother actually knew Eric Estrada, so it was like a long thing there, but that's... Come on, Larry Wilcox.
Love Chips. I got lucky. It was one of my first speaking roles. And I was barely credited. It wasn't even on IMDb for a while because it was like, hurry up. I was like a kid who had to go to the bathroom. The family had left their child's seat on a picnic table and driven off. Driven off.
Yeah, driven off. Like
so the producers brought me back like the next year, a different character. Mm-hmm. And it was the first Bruce Jenner episode, and they were racing motorcycles, and I had got to do little motorcycle work. And then a couple of years later, it was like towards the end of Chip's run, did Brat Patrol. They were trying to spin it off into little miniature Chips.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the last episode of the last season, basically the last episode of Chips, was the return of the Brat Patrol. They were trying to spin it off. John Astin directed that.
John Astin, your friend Sean Astin.
So bizarre. But in the episodes, we took on the sheriff's department, and you get either track and field or basketball, and those terrible gym shorts. And,
those gym shorts. Oh my God.
And they had the all the tropes. They had the tough guy, the sweet girl, the tough girl. Yeah. The nerd kid, the fat kid.
Yes.
So it was really cute. That they really are opening Teen Beat magazines and seeing Goonies is big. Let's have 5 kids that look different and and it's okay. You everything eats itself in this.
That's very true. But I just think back. I have such fond memories. Like Knight Rider.
Same as Chips. Rolling Thunder, 2 locations a day, big ones with huge trucks with all sorts of car carriers. Chips had dozens of cars. Okay. Knight Rider had 5 or 6. Would take empty shells, fiberglass shells with just a chassis and wheels, and tow it, move out of the way in front of it, release the rope, and let this car go do its jump. So nobody's in it. There's no remote control. They're just like, no, it's going straight.
Oh, wow.
They would wreck cars. They would use rubber props to make it look like Kit was indestructible. Sweetest thing to a 12-year-old. You're like, rubber barbed wire.
I was so excited. I love Knight Rider. Every guy I knew, and we all loved Knight Rider. Every kid we knew, we loved it.
And David Hasselhoff was a kid, so happy to be working again, and knew this would be a fun show. Was fun on the show.
Oh, good.
I was lucky. I got the 3rd episode. I don't know how he was around, 2nd or 3rd season, but he loved it. He would do voices and pretend push buttons and act out the car, and just absolutely loved it. I got to shoot in the Clock Tower Square in Universal Studios for the Back to the Future diner was a bait shop, so we got to shoot in the same spot. I loved it.
I love your Hollywood stories. You also did you were in Norma Ray somewhere. What did you do in Norma Ray?
They did a pilot for a series with Bonnie Bedelia as
Norma Ray.
As either Norma Ray or one of the lawyers.
Yeah.
Barry Corbin was in there as like a grandpa.
Oh wow.
And that was, I think, I had done Purely Legal Matter or Question of Love, which was one of the first movies of the week that covered a lesbian couple, and she was getting divorced, and he was suing for custody because she's an unfit mother.
Wow.
And I was the youngest. They were fighting over little Billy Gunther in court, and Klug Uliger, who I've done a few things with, was the evil dad trying to take it from Jenna Rollins and
Jenna Rollins. Wow.
Jane Alexander. Like, these are my early, like, 6, 7, 8 years old.
They're like acting legends. I mean, they both.
And I knew it. I was told by my family and people that I worked with or your agent, like, this is big. This is Alan Alda. This is whoever it was.
I know exactly.
Whoever it was. And TV. Back then there was no both. Bruce Willis was the first both with Moonlighting and Die Hard.
I agree.
And they let him do both, and whenever he could do either. I think he was tricked into doing 5 episodes of Friends.
Probably.
On a bet.
Yeah. No, back then, especially, it was literally, there were two, it was a big divide. You either did film or you did TV. And a lot of times, the same thing with music, too. You didn't always do music and acting. Like, it was very much a separate thing.
Oh, don't you know it? Look, all musicians want to be actors. All actors want to be rock stars. No, all musicians want to be porn stars. All porn stars want to be actors, and all actors want to be rock stars.
Yes.
And of course you want to do that. You saw, was it Michael Damian?
Yes.
And you saw people that
Jack
could
Wagner.
do that.
Everyone would have like
a Harry Connick could act, and you're like, damn you.
Yeah, but he did one great thing.
Waits can act.
Yes.
You're like, damn you, you can act. There's always no 3 who could do dance, sing, and act. That's the big thing. Yes. Can you do all 3?
Right.
And there's Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. And looks good doing all of it.
Dang.
Looks good doing all of it. The last couple of ones I'm going to bring up because they were personal favorites of mine growing up. I grew up in a big family, so I used to love these shows. You did 8 is Enough.
Loved it.
Just set in Sacramento.
Episodes.
Was it set in Sacramento?
Set in Sacramento. You just nothing to do but have kids there.
Yes.
Or speed. I
don't know. Lots of trees there. And squirrels.
It is the highest tree per capita.
I know. I do know. We have a Sacramento connection. We do know. And then the Waltons. Which I love the Waltons. That was my show.
on Walton's Mountain.
Yes.
Killed the dog, burned the barn, lied, cheated, smoked, stole. Yes. Had so much fun. Smack talk. I watched that show and I'm like, I would smack that child. He needs a good smack. Make him watch Fox and the Hound. And Aunt Peggy by Ray. No, not Martha Ray. Peggy. Aunt Rose was by Peggy Ray. Peggy Ray legend. Oh my gosh. Dukes of Hazzard and
Dukes of Hazzard. Yes.
Was it Roseanne or? No, Grace Under Fire.
Grace Under Fire, because Roseanne brought on Estelle Parsons.
Grace Under Fire, good show. Grace Under Fire, good show. And it's funny, you'll read for things and you just know it's weird. You don't feel like you belong in the universe.
Yeah.
And for me, Cheers was one I read for, but I just didn't feel. Burroughs shows were always hard for me to get onto.
You never did Will and Grace either, or any of those like those. I can see you being on those shows as a character. I can see you doing it.
I did get with Silver Spoons, then I did Growing Pains.
You did Growing Pains, yeah.
Just the 10 of us.
Yeah, I didn't even mention there's more.
At that point, you're good.
He's also done It's a Living. He's done Mackenzie's of Paradise Cove. You've done. I mean, it's just 21 Jump Street.
Angelian.
I used to love It's a Living.
Jump Street. You loved Angelian.
Oh, I did. I did. When she had that cancer thing and she had to go through the whole stuff. That was early. That was early on stuff that we weren't talking about back then. Her beautiful blonde bob. I mean, I just remember the whole.
Yeah, they're like, what is she if she's not? Because back then they're like, well, her only value as a woman is the way she looks.
Yeah.
The blonde little, hair, cute haircut. God love that.
Not that she's actually a smart person or can act or that kind of. They didn't care about that stuff back then.
She's got the Stockard Channing timing and bite.
Yes, she did definitely.
She's great.
Yeah, she was great. So.
And Trooper, I think she worked throughout. Didn't matter. And most of these actresses do. That's what drive them. And if it's safer, like Christine Applegate, just because it's safer to have a double mastectomy. You can, and then you can get whatever you want or nothing. It doesn't matter. This is a city of illusion. You don't have to have them in your body.
No, you don't.
You can just have a good tailor.
Yeah. I agree with you on that one. I agree with you. So now we're gonna highlight a couple of your work. The first one, of course. I mean, we have to start with this one, of course. And this is Adventures in Babysitting. Here's the scene that everyone. There's many scenes in this movie, but this is the scene that a lot of people just go to first.
Jesus.
Rainbow-colored gang.
Well, it's very much like Michael Jackson's Bad, like years later.
Anthony Rapp's brother is actually one of the gang members.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Even think about getting off this train.
Everyone keeps working. He was on like NYPD Blue.
Yes.
How you sound? This
And that guy, the other guy on the other side, they saw him. He's still doing stuff too.
There's Anthony Rapp's brother on the right.
On the right, oh, that's his brother. That's so funny. Look how young you look.
Here goes Jackson. Here comes Devereaux.
Oh, excuse me.
Elizabeth.
I can't help but notice that you two groups of people are about to start killing each other.
Devereaux is Chris Columbus's wife. Her maiden name is Monica Devereaux. She's the choreographer. She plays the prostitute at the side of the river, and they named the street after it. And her dad's in the chop shop scene.
Oh, didn't even know that. Oh,
and he's in Home Alone too. So Devereaux, he'll always use Devereaux. Okay. And blonde jockeys. I don't know what the deal is.
Here we go. I love it.
He called you a bitch.
Hey, listen to the bitch, Brad.
Watch your mouth. You big city scum sucker.
This part kills me.
You just can't keep your foot out your mouth, can you, boy? Let me help. Don't fuck with the lords of hell.
He's like...
Don't fuck with the babysitter.
Yes. That's the line, kids. That is the line. That's it. So I wanted to show that because that's everybody talks about that line. I mean, okay, we're coming up on the 30th anniversary next year of this movie. Like, how's it 30 years already? Like, how's that happening?
It's unfathomable that it's been 30 years. Hiding Out will be 30.
Yeah, another one.
But this is for 30 years. For this is just unbelievable.
Right.
It is dated maybe in cell phone usage.
Okay, yeah.
You know, some references.
Yes.
They have a better Thor than we do now. So back in '87, Vincent D'Onofrio was a much better Thor.
Yes.
Everyone went nuts. I saw this at a backyard screening the other night.
Okay.
And they put it on a huge blow-up screen, and 40, 50 people there. And this reaction, the rising action to it, the writing is amazing, and that's really her... wolf mother instinct and protecting her pack, peaks there. And at that point, it kind of goes down. She rides that after this, and other people start to come in and help her and take care of her. She's earned it, though. She's earned all the rescuing she gets. And so that's why it never feels like, oh, she just had this college-age guy come and rescue her. No, she even was going after her ex and, taking care of business that night.
I just want to tell you, just a person who watched it and loves this film and had it on VHS, and probably has it on DVD somewhere. That was such a film that was so much fun. It looked like you guys all had such a great time, and it translated off the screen for us. And that's why I said I read some stuff. Many of us of that time period who saw it in the theater and saw it on film and saw it over and over again, we love it because it's a good time. It's like a roll. It keeps going and going and going and going. Like, what's going on? How's this going to end? How's it going to go? And we just you took us on a ride that we followed it. And you all were so good in it. Every single person was good in this film.
We didn't have to make believe much because we had great art department and amazing sets built and great background extras. Right. Great stunt people we could trust. It's a bunch of kids. Yeah. It was during the John Landis trial for Twilight Zone. It was happening while we're shooting. We're up in Toronto and in Chicago, and we're all SAG. Yeah. And Maya Bruton is 9-10 years old. Yeah. Anthony Rapp's underage. He's only 16, 15. So he's still in school. I was actually taking a proficiency examination and got out of school.
Oh, okay.
I could work as an adult on the set. Didn't need a teacher.
Oh, wow.
But we're sitting here late at night. We're going, well, it's almost midnight. We lose Maya Bruton at midnight because you can't work a minor past midnight. So we had a Canadian local girl.
Okay.
She was our little Sarah, because she would do all her lines, like Thor, Mighty God of Thunder, But she'd do them all with an accent,
So
it was
funny.
so great. Check out my backpack, So we just loved fake Sarah. So they would shoot her out, and then they would shoot us from the waist up, and you just catch her hair and the top of her hat. Anytime you see just her top of her hat and her hair, that is fake Sarah. We were always on roofs. We were always climbing stuff. That is a real L train. You see a stumble when it kind of jerks.
Yeah.
And you don't have to pretend. I'm from LA. Yeah. How many times have I ridden a train By the time I'm 16 years old, almost none.
Yeah.
So here I am shooting scenes on a train.
Yeah.
In the Loop around Chicago.
Yeah, the Loop.
And there's no, you're trapped. There's no really there's no make believe.
You're in it.
You just surrender to the environment. And we cut a lot of stuff and they rewrote stuff as we were going while we were rehearsing.
Yeah.
Make sure everything did tie in together and make sense. And it didn't need over explaining. I noticed that it wasn't a ton of we're gonna do this, then we're gonna go next. Then you're just like, what's the immediate? What do you need now? Fire. What do you need now? Water. What do you need now? Band-Aid. It's like, so I need this immediately right now, and her primacy is protecting the kids. There's a lot of heart. I think that's why it's held up. I think that's why, people watch it. And I've seen it back to back with other films of mine.
Yeah.
And the Toy Soldiers and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, they just don't have this little heart.
I'm saying this is the one. The others are good too. The others are good too. But okay, so let's bring up the next point before I go into the next clip I show. Adventure Babysitting, Don't Tell Mom Babysitter's Dead, Toy Soldiers, hiding out these movies. We're fortunate enough to be in anything that's a hit, possibly. Just in Hollywood, there's one thing there. Then you're fortunate enough to be in something that actually kind of works and lasts a few years after that. But how is it you're in these films that actually have cult status decades later? I mean, you don't know that when you're doing it.
That's sweet. And I think that the definition of cult has broadened.
It has. Yes, it has. From when we were,
because cult really meant it didn't make its money back.
Like Theater Paradise, all those kind of movies.
Right.
They didn't make a lot of money and they came out.
So, these things economically did just fine. They tripled their, operating budget, and they did fine for the studios. Everyone nothing was a runaway hit.
Right. Adventures
of Babysitting has had really good legs, and Fox and the Hound as well.
Yeah.
People clamor for better versions of Toy Soldiers or, Book of Love is a funny one because when I get a Book of Love fan, they are a Book of Love fan.
Yeah, I believe it.
Hardcore. Yeah. They're like, I really love, because it's a gem, maybe. Maybe not cult, but there are so many things produced now. And back in the 80s, it was probably about 400 a year. There's probably, I used to say I was in all the good movies and half the bad ones.
Well, you have to think, because it's one of those things where nowadays I always wonder what will become what will we still be talking about in 20, 30, 40 years. There's movies that you did, we're talking about them today. You're on this program, we're talking about them, and I'm not alone. You went to a screening.
Is it going to be Allegiant? Is it going to be Reliant? What are those things called now?
Reliant. I don't know.
Reliant, Allegiant. I don't know.
But you know what I mean? Like, really? Maybe not. I don't know.
A young girl, outcast, loner, who dreams of another time, is chosen as the one to free a society shackled by a power unknown to them. Only she holds the key. A young adult novel brought to a theater near you.
I love it. I love that. Now, speaking of that, you did a monologue a day a few years ago, and we're going to show one of your monologues.
Oh, God, don't.
Yes.
Okay.
This is your life.
What is this?
Day 146 or 48.
She was 15 going on 35, Doc.
Oh, Jack.
She told me she was 18. She was more than willing. I practically had to sew my pants shut. Between you and me, she might have been 15, but once you get that little red beaver right up there in your face, I don't think that's crazy at all.
So what was your premise of this monologue a day? You did, it's a million up. I don't know, how many did you do? Did you do the whole year? Because when I was looking at you had a whole
192.
Wow. So what was the premise behind that?
It didn't have my 2 theater monologues in my pocket. And as an actor, and I've done a bit of theater through, after high school, I did some high school theater, and then had theater companies, and did B Street Theater.
Yes, you did. Sacramento, at Tweedy Busfield.
3 shows up there, which was, amazing. They did a writers program where you got to work with great writers in their own plays, and that was something that very few people get to experience.
Yeah.
I got to do James McClure's Private Wars with James McClure,
wow,
who wrote Laundry and Bourbon and Lone Star, and he is, and The Day They Shot John Lennon.
Yes, I know that.
Private Wars. His, colleges do it. It's a 3-person show.
Wow.
Funny and deep, like Jim. So theater is where you can always go if you can do some theater. It's so great because you're sharp. you learn things from film that you can apply to theater and vice versa.
Yeah.
So in going, all right, I'm going to go up for some shows. And I went, gosh, because I kind of lucked into the Timothy Busfield thing. He goes, I need someone from Hollywood that can bring a couple of, asses in the seats up here. And some babysitting asses sat down and watched some interesting shows. A Marsha Norman play. They watched. That is why I started. I go, well, of course, there's a Capricorn. And it happened to be January 1st. I'm in the tub and I go, why just do one? Why don't I learn one a day? And so this was my attempt for nothing, and I saw that it turned into a good marketing thing, and it turned into I got on TMZ because of it.
Yeah.
He's like, these are terrible. They showed my you can't handle the truth. It's so funny. You can't help. I don't think I have a shirt on in that one. You can't help but talk like Jack when you're doing a Jack monologue. I do a few. I do one from Chinatown where he's telling. You're screwing like a damn Chinaman. Terrible jokes.
Yes.
But, this is a different time. This is a time where the 70s had pretty tough heroes like Popeye Doyle.
Yeah.
The kids were allowed to go out and play, not be seen for hours.
Yes.
You play games, you lose some, you win some.
Yes.
You lose some, you keep playing.
Yeah, I agree.
And not everyone was a precious little snowflake and promised to be a rock star or a fashion diva.
Very true.
We were not promised that. We were like, no, you got to really work your butt off in pick curtain 1, 2, or 3.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
At least it wasn't my parents' generation, which was pick curtain 1 or I'll kill you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Or you out of the house.
Right.
And you get physically beat. Okay, I got beat, but by the belt.
Yeah.
Is that really? They toned it down.
Yeah.
Now these kids don't get beat, and they are spoiled.
Yes.
Rotten.
Yes, they are.
I say, Trump, go to war, draft these little buggers, get them off their Pokemons, because maybe we could have another great generation. But the way we're going, we are not going to have a great generation. So we slip those babies off to war. Oh man, the kids today are amazing.
Yeah, I remember going outside and it's like sundown. Then you got called from your mother. And as soon as you heard her voice,
well, someone got called. As soon as someone got called, you're like, "Oh God, that's right. The sun's been down for an hour.
Yes.
Maybe I should go check in."
Yeah, it's time to go in. I remember that. You can't have your kids out front anymore. So it's kind of nowadays.
And then you're in bed by 10. You watch some TV, do your homework, and you're out. And you wind up playing with those kids again.
Yes.
The very next day at school, at lunch, at recess, then after, and then whatever trend it was. I lived at the beach, so there was always beach stuff to do.
I skated
in warmer months.
I was always skating.
Yeah.
My roller skates. I was always skating. My cousins would skateboard. I would roller skate. And we were Venice, Santa Monica, same thing, just up and down. Waffle ice cream cones, my big afro, just working it out. I did that. I give you a visual right there. That's how I looked.
That's excellent.
Now we're going to show you, speaking of a 70s hairdo, we're going to show one of your commercials. You did a McDonald's commercial first, I believe. That was something first you did early on. But this is another commercial you've done.
Mom said I shouldn't let anyone eat it. It's not frosted. But it's good like this. And if we tie you up, Mom can't blame me.
Duncan Hines did.
I remember that commercial. I remember that commercial.
Makes our cake so moist, even unfrosted, the taste comes alive.
Great. Delicious. Johnny, my cake. But, Mom, they tied me up.
Oh.
Duncan Hines did. So moist, so delicious, they might not wait till it's frosted.
I remember, Duncan Hines was big back then. I remember that, but I remember that commercial. It's like when I went to look for it, I'm like, oh, I remember that whole tie, it just falls off. And Johnny, that mom thing. Oh my God, it's just hilarious.
I got to do Pillsbury Doughboy and Cool Whip and Charmin and Kool-Aid and Pops, Snap Crackle Pop.
The greatest stuff. All the greatest
Dig 'em
stuff.
Smacks.
I've heard Dig 'em Smacks.
Dig 'em Smacks, so professional. Snap Crackle, amazing. Pop is a bitch.
Oh, is it really?
I have to tell you, Pop has really got an attitude.
Really?
So, because I could pay attention and I could focus on an imaginary dot in space.
Yeah.
And I could do my prop the same way every time. And they ain't going to get more performance-wise on take 3 or 4 because I'm doing it the same way. Oh, Mom won't notice. Mom, Mikey, he likes it. It was jump and shout. There really is no think about your character. And then just go in and say it, kid.
Yeah.
And do it over and over and eat. Oh, so spit buckets were a big thing as a kid.
Oh, yeah, you keep eating if there's... You can't
Probably
eat
introduced on my KFC, we introduced these little biscuits, buttermilk biscuits that are now permanently on the menu for years. But it was their first try at biscuits.
Wow.
I always got like the Shamrock Shake or new stuff that they're like, we're going to try a new thing. So I would do the commercial. And you gorge yourself on this food, and then you're trying to spit it out between takes. But if you have a line after you eat, yummy, that's great, Mom, more. You have to swallow it, and then they're like lunch, and you're just puking Kool-Aid. It's great. It's good fun.
But see, I always thought people like...
like there's a food eating contest?
Yes,
and people have to iron stomachs and soak the bread and do.
I want to throw up when I watch it.
Same thing as a kid at 9. You're like asking other kids, how do you deal with the cookies, man? I can't deal with the cookies. It's weird. It's a weird
I always thought about
universe.
Mikey back then. I always thought about Rodney Alley Ripple. I always thought about all the ones that were famous for those commercials for food. Kim Fields, when she did the Butterworth commercials when she was really young. I always thought about all that. They made so much money, I'm sure.
You need to get Rodney Allen Rippey.
I'd love to have him on the show.
Love him. He's a good friend.
Get him on the show. Talk to him.
Oh, gosh. And then, Elizabeth Shue's Burger King.
Oh, yes. I remember she did that.
Very cute.
Yes. So I always wondered about those when I was growing up, those commercials. I was like, they became stars. So now we're going to show one last clip. This is like a little nice one. It was some program you were on, and you're talking about your grandfather.
Oh, yeah. This is Hollywood's Children. And
your mom, I think, was talking, and so let's...
Grandfather, he was a really good actor.
You knew Keith Mitchell.
Like he was
my mom was like,
he was a natural.
We don't want you to get a job just because you're his grandkid.
Okay.
I'm like, you're not fooling anybody.
My goal is to be.
You look like him.
They knew exactly who I was.
Be like him.
They'd either go, oh, Jack, or they go, oh, Jack.
See, I ride a mini bike.
Have you ever practiced it?
No.
Talking about doing the Chips episode.
You're going to be in this business a long time, aren't you?
Yeah.
How long are you going to stay in?
Till I'm 67.
I think it's such a cute. I was watching it. Was so cute because I'm a grandfather myself, and I just can imagine that's really. You have this. So what are some of your memories of your granddad?
Who else gets to walk on the beach interviewed by Geraldo Rivera with a lavalier on your thingy and maybe hair and makeup? I mean, it's normalized. You normalize whatever world is given to you as a kid.
Yeah.
And if your grandfather makes shoes and maybe he's known for making shoes, you might try it. You might make some shoes.
Yeah.
Or go into it, use that brand.
Yeah.
And he passed in 84. Okay. And, John Astin and I were the only two to speak at his funeral. And John loved him, dear friend. Yeah. And I loved him too. He, looked out for me as a kid, not as an actor.
Because he knew.
He gave me kid advice.
Yeah,
he gave me life advice. And, watch your money and be careful of mothers. And he would never tell me how to act. He would never be louder or quieter or angrier. He'd be like, it's your part to do with it. I even went up for Tom Sawyer that he had played Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
His first talkie was Tom Sawyer. And I'm like, I'm going up for Tom Sawyer. And he's like, not going to help you.
Oh, well, okay.
And I like that tough love. We don't get that enough. Yeah. And respect for your elders. And, he was... my grandparent, it was another generation above my parents, so he demanded that much more respect, I think. My parents were just those hippie kids. But maybe, I don't know, I hope I did it proud. I know he saw enough of the work, and we watched stuff, when I was a kid together. I can, only hope, because he was the world's first film child star, and one of the biggest.
Yes.
And also then one of the first former child stars. He's the first one to live through that and grow up and get a second chance.
Yeah, even before Shirley Temple and all that.
After wars and lawsuits and the Coogan Act, getting named after him, he gets Addams Family and gets the ultimate, because now you can talk to any generation. And, if they're older generation, you say the kid, Charlie Chaplin. They go, no way. They're, maybe younger, do you go Addams Family? They're like, oh my God, the guy from Back to the Future. No, not the movies, the series, the Addams Family. Yes. No, I'm kidding. They do. They know exactly who he is.
Yeah, they do.
And his characterization of that.
Yeah, I love it.
He had to put a voice to that. Everybody did when they.
I love how you speak of him. It warms my heart.
Oh, great respect for him. As family, you go, I see your tricks. As family, you go, oh, okay, because we bust each other, and we're Irish, and we're always like. A little hammy there. Could have brought a little more there. Whatever. We have notes. We always have notes. Mm-hmm. That was great. Great job, honey. Okay, I have notes.
I love it.
Even if it's like a one-night show, my mom will be like, you should have done this. Okay, good to know.
Well, my notes are you're a great guy. Thanks for coming in here.
Thanks for talking about these shows. I love doing them, and I appreciate that you appreciate them.
It was my pleasure, seriously. So that was Spotlight On with Keith Coogan. You can watch it here on AfterBuzz TV. Just go to Spotlight On.
Dishes are done,
man. That's right. I love it. And you can follow him at Keith Coogan, of course, on Twitter. You can follow me at James Lott Jr. on Twitter. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Done the kid.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.